The game was rigged, and then it wasn't. Ayesha Curry deleted her tweet. We're going to keep our post-game coverage going right here on AOL Sports. Gavin Shaw, Marcus Barahall, bringing you everything from that 115-101 Cleveland Cavalier win. And Marcus, the clear MVP, Dante Jones.
Dante Jones, very clearly the difference in the second quarter with a 5-0 personal run. Really just sparked the Cavaliers the whole game, and I think that the whole team really fed off of his energy throughout.
So if you're not a Dante Jones believer, like the two of us are, which we're far and few between, LeBron James also had himself a pretty good game. 41 points, 10 assists, 8 rebounds, 3 blocks, 3 steals. Marcus, what did you make of maybe the best performance ever from the King?
Yeah, I mean, per Basketball Reference's game score, it was the best finals game in NBA history, surpassing Tim Duncan. In third on that list, by the way, was LeBron in Game 5.
But he's not clutch when it matters most.
No, it's fine. LeBron really put it all together, like you said. And, I mean, from hitting a few threes when he needed to hitting a turnaround over Iggy to just demoralizing Steph's entire life. And really, that play where he swatted him on the pump fake and then LeBron got the block, it was really like if Steph Curry's new shoes were a basketball play. I think that was kind of
that was a summary of it. So perfect for men over 60, but under 80. I think just from a physicality perspective, it was kind of everything you've ever wanted from LeBron. Even last game when he was so good, he kind of got going shooting the 3-ball. Mm-hmm. But this game, just getting out in transition, posting up, throwing out counter moves off that post-up. You mentioned that turnaround jumper he had earlier. He was just overwhelming. And we kind of talk about Andre Iguodala as someone who's been able to contain him somewhat over the last two finals. But this game kind of reconfirmed the point that what we've essentially known for years is that when LeBron wants to get to the rim, no matter what defense you're set up, and this Golden State team is absolutely an elite defense, there's no stopping it.
Yeah, and I mean, there was like a quote a few years ago I think LeBron had where he was like, basically, whenever I wanted to, I could average 30 or 35 points a game. And I think what we've seen the last two games has really shown, I think, what he meant by that, which is he can take over, and he knows he can. He just needs something to get him to that level. And obviously the finals is a big enough stage for that. And
that's why it was so frustrating early in the series when Game 4, where I felt at least late in the game when Kyrie was kind of taking every shot, LeBron had the opportunity to do exactly this. And there were points where he was losing his handle and he just didn't seem to have that confidence. And it's almost like when you put a genius in desperation mode, the best of them comes out. And I think this was kind of the perfect example of that. And the other side of that coin is Steph Curry, who got to 30 points, but didn't have the most efficient night from the field, 8 for 20, good from beyond the three-point line. What did you make of his performance?
I thought it was up and down. I thought that the fouls early on definitely got him not off to a good start. He had 2 quick ones in the first quarter, and I think from there it just felt like whenever he got looks, he knocked them down, but it just felt like the looks were few and far between.
Right, and I thought he was really good in the fourth quarter. There was kind of a stretch where he was matching LeBron shot for shot, and then you mentioned the point where that changed was when LeBron just swatted him on that layup, and at that point it was kind of LeBron's show, and as you said, the ending almost seemed inevitable. Now, the way Steph Curry ended that game is almost likely to be the story, which is, as you said, in the greatest final games ever, maybe, Steph Curry throwing his mouth guard, and it turns out that the son of the minority owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers is probably going to be the narrative coming out of this game.
Yeah, I would say that that's going to be a lot of people's takeaway. That's like the most finable moment outside of LeBron's block from the game, and it really just sort of encapsulated, I think, a lot of the Steph Curry backlash that we've seen in these finals.
And I think this really sets up an incredible Game 7, not just for the obvious reasons, but from that Steph-LeBron matchup. It's kind of been a push and a pull, and you almost thought Steph had kind of ended the conversation in that Game 4, I believe, where he had 38 points. But now you have Steph, as we said, getting back to the corner kind of pushes the genius out of you. After this season, I put Steph in that category as well.
Sure.
And if anyone's ever been backed into a corner, it's Steph Curry right now.
Yeah, I think he definitely has to answer, given what happened at the end of this current game, Game 6. And I think in Game 7, with his fans behind him, with Ayesha in the stands, I think he's going to come out and I feel like he'll bounce back and have a great game.
Yeah, I see him going off, just having one of those games where he's hitting deeper and deeper threes.
Yeah.
You know Clay's going to bring the same thing.
Yeah. And I mean, Steph tried to get to that level in this game, I thought, when the Warriors made that run and they cut it to a 7 or 8, I think, and Steph pulled up for about 35, and Kerr, per the broadcast, was very mad about that shot, and he didn't like that shot.
Yeah.
And I think that's a shot that if it goes in, of course, everyone's vining it and everyone's tweeting about it. When it doesn't go in, it's just a bad shot.
Right. But as you said, when that shot goes in, it unlocks everything for Golden State. It's like the basket gets that much wider, and it's just suddenly it's open season.
Yeah.
Speaking of people Steve Kerr likes to get mad at, Draymond Green having a pretty solid return performance, didn't do all that well scoring, had 10 rebounds, about 6 assists. But is this a scenario where if Golden State drops Game 7, is Draymond just the greatest? No, I shouldn't say the greatest GOAT, because that can have a positive connotation, but just the GOAT for the rest of the time?
Yeah, I think he's the GOAT, all lowercase, not all caps.
Of course.
And,
that's a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, if he had played Game 5, you never know what could have happened. They could have finished it there. Bogut might not have gotten hurt, just because the rotations might have been different.
Butterfly effect.
Sure, yeah. A great insect and a great movie as well.
Yeah.
But
never saw it.
yeah, me neither. But you never know what could have happened if Draymond had played. And I mean, he definitely is the energy and the heart and soul of that team. And he, more than almost anyone on that team, feeds off of the home crowd. And I feel like if they'd had him for Game 5, it could have made a difference.
I think it totally changes the attitude of the team. And even if LeBron and Kyrie go off in the same way, that was a very winnable game with about 10 minutes left. But now we're here. We're heading to Game 7. What do you see happening?
I think the Warriors will come out more energized and more together than they did in this game. I think Steph will kind of get them together, and I expect them to play a much better game.
I agree with that, certainly. I think just given the type of atmosphere they're going to be feeding off, we're going to see Golden State, if not the same start Cleveland got off to tonight, which was just kind of ridiculous for a finals game, frankly.
It was tied for the largest lead at the end of one quarter of any finals game in history.
They're going to have something like that offensively, and it's going to be on LeBron, and it's going to be on Kyrie, who's very good in the first half, a little quiet in the second, to punch right back.
Yeah, and I mean, no one wants this win more than LeBron. I mean, he's one win away from bringing a title to Cleveland finally. The first time he got there in 2007, he got swept. Last year, of course, we know he lost 4-2. And, I mean, this is the closest he's ever been. This is the closest that any of these guys have been. I mean, none of these guys have, finals experience like LeBron, outside of course, James Jones. Big shouts.
Yeah, he was a big contributor, and I got a couple minutes at the end.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't expect LeBron to take his foot off the gas pedal just because he got to a Game 7 against arguably the greatest regular season team of all time. I think he's going to go full throttle, and I expect this one to come right down to the wire.
Right, and I think this is the game that kind of, it doesn't, if they lose and LeBron plays well, it doesn't negatively seal his legacy. Sure. But if they can pull this off with LeBron playing really well, no more questions about LeBron's legacy. And I think that's the biggest, and it's incredible to say that in a game where a 73-win team might not win the title, but that's the biggest question for me going into the game. If Cleveland can pull this off, nobody can ever question LeBron's credentials again. He would have engineered the greatest finals comeback ever against, arguably, going into this, the greatest team of all time. That's it for our post-game coverage here on AOL Sports. I'd like to say we'd be back for Game 7, but I'm going to be out of town, so this is the first and last time we'll be seeing you this season.
We had a great run.
Hopefully next year we make this a regular thing. Thanks so much for tuning in.